Okay, we're good to go, sir.
Thank you, Mika. Please let everyone in. And Gershom, when I switch off my screen share, you can start speaking.
Okay. Okay. Good. Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour, chers participants. Euh, Bienvenue à cette deuxième session de Civic Innovation. C'est quoi l'innovation civique? Une session pour apprendre, pour se lier et pour initier le changement. Cette session est enregistrée et avant de commencer, je voudrais demander à tout le monde, existe-t-il une chanson ou une œuvre d'art qui vous fait vous sentir puissant ou inarrêtable? Est-ce qu'il existe une chanson qui, quand vous l'écoutez, vous vous dites, j'ai le pouvoir de tout changer? C'est c'est ce que nous allons c'est de ça que nous allons parler aujourd'hui. La créativité comme moyen d'emmener le changement. Je suis Gershom Gobwang, euh, slammer, poète et activiste pour les droits humains au Congo-Brazzaville. Mon parcours, il commence de manière un peu, de manière alambiquée. En fait, je tombe dans l'engagement citoyen parce que en 2014, le président de la République chez nous initiait un changement de la Constitution et en tant que jeune, en tant que citoyen, je ne pouvais pas être d'accord avec ça. Et mon engagement artistique qui existait déjà, ce que je portais déjà sur scène, devient porté à l'échelle de la société avec quelques autres amis artistes. On a la réflexion de travail, de faire de chaque instant artistique que nous allons organiser un moment de résistance et un moment pour dire non au changement de la Constitution. Des amis seront arrêtés, d'autres choisiront l'exil. Aujourd'hui, moi, je travaille au Centre d'action pour le développement en tant que responsable de programme campagne et plaidoyer, mais cette expérience artistique, cette expérience de prise de parole politique et de prise de parole poétique m'a emmené à mettre en place au sein du Centre d'action pour le développement le Festival Slam pour les droits humains, qui est un espace d'apprentissage des droits humains, mais aussi un espace où les jeunes se réunissent pour dire nous devons nous engager pour changer, nous devons nous engager pour changer notre quotidien. Je vois que ça a pris un peu lent et cette initiative a été reconnue par Civicus. J'ai l'année passée obtenu le prix Nelson Mandela grâce à ma chaîne de l'innovation dans la catégorie individuelle. Mais je voudrais aussi demander à ceux qui participent avec moi aujourd'hui, aux co-débatteurs de se présenter et de présenter leur parcours. Je crois qu'on est trois. Quelqu'un d'autre peut se présenter? Verma?
Yes, Gershom. I was just not sure if it was me. Hi, Gershom. Sava, thank you. Thank you, Messi, for the introduction and all your amazing work, Gershom, that you've been able to do with slam poetry. Really inspired. And everyone, hello. I'm so glad to be here with everyone to be able to talk about how art and creativity can be a tool towards resistance. We've been working with Art of Freedom in Afghanistan, in Myanmar, and India for the last 5 years. And it's amazing what art and creativity can do, especially in spaces of conflict and crisis. And so I'm looking forward to share stories and share some amazing art to all of you today. Thanks, Kirsham.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Gursum. Your journey, it seems inspiring, especially for activists all around the world. I'm Sheila. I'm from Nepal. I co-lead an organization called Freedom Studio, where we work with social movements. We mostly provide creative and strategic support to social movements on how they can express themselves, on how they can assemble in more sustainable and peaceful manner. I'm really glad to share my journey and my work with and learn from the co-hosts as well in creativity for resistance. So yeah.
Thank you all so much. My name is Safia Khan, and I'm the Innovation and Quality Management Officer at Civicus. It's welcome to everyone. Gershom, if it's okay with you, I will share one of my tasks here today is to share with you a global overview of civic space based on our research. Shall I go ahead?
Safia, c'est justement ce que je devais faire. Je devais te donner la parole pour que tu nous dises un peu le contexte mondial dans lequel nous travaillons sur ces questions d'espace civique et qu'est-ce qu'il en est à l'échelle du monde avant qu'on ne puisse chacun dire ce qu'on fait chez nous pour changer la situation.
Thank you so much. So for those of you who may not be familiar with Civicus, we are a global alliance of civil society organizations and activists working to strengthen citizen action and civil society more broadly throughout the world. We're proud, like Gershom mentioned, to curate the Nelson Mandela Graça Machel Innovation Awards. And Gershom is one of our awardees from last year. Beyond the awards, though, Civicus is committed to curating an innovation community, because what we found was that we had so many applications, but we could only have 5 awardees at the end of like this previous iteration. So where to from there? What do we do with all of this knowledge and things like that? We wanted to create a broader community, and that's what we're all gathered here to do. So in this community, we're looking at people from diverse backgrounds and sectors interested in coming together to discover and to explore and to create solutions to strengthen essentially the systems and the structures that allow us to live with dignity, freedom, and justice. This series that we are hosting now is called the Civic Innovation Is series. And these are conversations that aim to explore some of the most pressing issues facing our sector with the people at the forefront of addressing them. And I'm really looking forward to the discussion that is to follow today. To start us off, though, I wanted to share a global overview of the state of civic space today and how creativity and art are being used as forms of resistance that we've seen in our research. And also, I would like to share a little bit about our innovation framework at Civicus with all of you. And just to let you know, I will share all of these details in the chat, but I'll be drawing from 2 of Civicus's flagship reports, the People Power Under Attack report from our Civicus Monitor and the State of Civil Society report from our LENS team. So what we're finding and what the research is showing is that civic freedoms are now under attack in a record 122 of the 198 countries and territories that we track as part of the Civicus Monitor. Civic space, and by that we mean the freedoms of association, assembly, and expression, are the oxygen of democracy. And what we're finding is that it's being choked in different countries year after year. At present, only 7% of the world's population live in countries where civic space is regarded as opened or slightly narrowed. More people than ever live in countries that the Civicus Monitor rates as repressed or closed. Over the past year, for example, 18 countries have had their ratings changed, and there's a full research methodology around it. I will share more details about that in the chat. But with the 18 countries that had their ratings changed, 15 were downgraded, and only 3 showed signs of improvement. So what does that repression look like? The most common violation that we documented in this previous iteration of the report is the detention of protesters. This was recorded in at least 82 countries. Journalists were detained in 73 countries, human rights defenders in at least 71. Excessive force against protesters was reported in 67 countries, with restrictive laws being adopted restrictive laws being adopted or proposed in 66 countries. And over 10% of violations had a digital dimension. So it included internet shutdowns, social media blocks, and various forms of online censorship. Repression is evolving. It is getting smarter, and it's happening everywhere. When it comes to conflict and citizen targeting, the research shows that in conflict zones, in Gaza, in the occupied Palestine territories, in Ukraine, in the DRC, Ethiopia, Myanmar, Sudan, civilians are not being killed by accident. They are being deliberately targeted. Civil society workers, humanitarian staff, journalists being killed for helping people, defending rights, and documenting abuses. International humanitarian law is being flouted with impunity. Might is winning out over the rule of law. I'd like to share a little bit about two countries that I know we'll speak about today, just in the interest of time, but you can read the report for more detail on other countries as well. So in Nepal, for example, Gen Z-led protests surged, young people mobilized over governance issues, corruption, and the cost of living, amongst other issues. But security forces responded with violence. Many protesters were killed and even more detained. In Afghanistan, which is rated closed in the Civicus Monitor, the worst category, the Taliban has effectively criminalized civil society. Activists, journalists, and women face arrest, torture, killing, and killing on a daily basis, and physical protest is virtually impossible. And yet, despite these bleak statistics, resistance continues. Through poetry, through digital activism, diaspora networks, the arrest of Sayyid Alam Hashim, for example, in February of 2025, was believed to be in retaliation for his poetry in Afghanistan. And it tells us everything we need to know about the danger and the power of creative expression that authoritarian regimes feel. We know that art has always been a tool of resistance. It communicates across barriers, evades censorship, builds solidarity, and sustains hope. The reports that I've shared document artists being targeted precisely because their work is so powerful. In China, musicians are detained for supporting democracy movements. In Malaysia, an artist was arrested for a satirical mural. In Afghanistan, a poet, like I mentioned, was arrested for his words. Artists in Gaza continue to create in the midst of devastation. Artists globally have spoken out against the atrocities in Palestine and have faced backlash, canceled contracts, withdrawn awards, social media censorship, amongst others. It's the authoritarian regimes that understand the power of art, and that's why they move so quickly to silence it. But the research I'm sharing is not just documentation. It's a call to action. At Civicus, we've spent years tracking these trends, incubating new programs, and working alongside people on the ground facing these challenges. From that work, we've developed our approach to civic innovation. For us, innovation is not a buzzword, and it's not just about technology. It's a practical tool for disruption, solidarity, and regeneration. We define it as intentional, collective, and adaptive in process that challenges the status quo, generates new patterns of organization, and enables transformative change. Innovation is collective, adaptive, and transformative. We understand that civic space is an area of struggle, solidarity, and deliberation, constantly contested, defended, and reimagined. And for this reason, despite being faced with a civic space that is shrinking, increasingly dangerous environments in which to work, and funding that is quickly drying up, civil society continues to hold the line. Young people are mobilizing. Artists are creating under impossible conditions. Movements are finding new ways to organize, resist, and imagine. Innovation for us is a civic practice. It's collective, it's inclusive, and it's future-oriented. It's grounded in rigorous research, tested through new programs, and shaped by people on the ground who understand their context better than anyone else could. When civic space closes, creativity often becomes the last refuge of resistance. A poem, a mural, a song, these can be acts of profound courage. And so that's exactly why I'm looking forward to the conversation that lies ahead. We've heard the global data, we've seen the patterns, but the real insights come from lived experience. I'm very interested to hear from our panelists on their specific experiences, how they've navigated repression, how creativity has sustained their work, and what innovation looks like from where they stand. So with that, Gershom, I hand back to you. Thank you so much.
Merci Safia pour cette présentation à l'échelle mondiale. Et on va essayer de parler un peu en particulier des situations, des contextes spécifiques dans lesquels nous on travaille et ce sur quoi notre réponse à ces contextes spécifiques. Je l'ai dit tout à l'heure en introduction, en République du Congo, la règle est simple. Les manifestations sur la voie publique sont interdites depuis 1962. Donc, il y a une ordonnance prise par le président de l'époque pour dire « faites tout ce que vous voulez, mais n'occupez pas l'espace public pour manifester ». Malgré les gouvernements qui se sont succédés, on n'arrive pas en fait. Et cette loi sert de prétexte à ce que toute manifestation qui n'entre pas dans le sens d'encourager le régime en place, c'est systématiquement interdit. Les organisateurs sont arrêtés, et détenus, intimidés, et voilà le contexte global. Nous avons fait un premier travail intellectuel qui est celui de rédiger une proposition de projet de loi, mais dans le contexte congolais, c'est ensuite très difficile de trouver un député qui va le porter à l'Assemblée. C'est quasiment impossible parce que l'Assemblée, depuis que le dictateur Denis Sassou Nguesso est au pouvoir, l'Assemblée est contrôlée par le parti au pouvoir. Et par conséquent, avoir un député, même s'il se dit de l'opposition qui va porter une loi progressiste qui libère l'espace civique et qui fait passer du régime de l'autorisation préalable au régime de la déclaration préalable pour tout ce qui concerne les manifestations, c'est très complexe. Donc, nous, ce qu'on a fait déjà, je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, au mouvement citoyen Ras-le-Bol, puisqu'on avait, c'est un mouvement citoyen que j'ai cofondé avec des amis en 2014. Et puisqu'on n'avait que l'art pour pouvoir nous exprimer, on s'est dit chaque scène, chaque fois qu'on est sur scène, c'est un moment de résistance, c'est un moment où les 10, 15, 20, 200, 300 personnes qui viennent nous écouter vont commencer à dire il faut que ça change, ça suffit, il faut que ça change, on en a ras-le-bol, quitte à provoquer un débordement et que cette colère qui est dans un espace, qui est dans une salle, qui est une colère de 10 personnes, de 20 personnes, va devenir, par effet de contagion, la colère de tout le monde. Et, après le changement de la Constitution, l'espace civique s'est encore plus rétréci parce que les activistes sont ciblés et tout. Et là, tout récemment, il a été lancé une opération de l'armée, une opération de lutte contre le banditisme urbain. Et dans cette opération, on a purement et simplement donné à l'armée le droit de tuer toute personne qui serait suspecté d'appartenir à un groupe de bandits. Ce sont des jeunes, ils ont entre 15 et 30 ans. Et sur la base d'une simple dénonciation, sur la base de la délation, l'armée arrive chez vous, t'exécute. Lorsqu'ils ne te trouvent pas, ils détruisent le bien de la famille. Ça peut être une maison, ça peut être... Donc on a comme ça des familles qui sont passées de propriétaires de leur logement à... Ils n'ont plus rien parce que la maison a été détruite, parce que le jeune ne vivait plus là, et que lorsqu'on est arrivé au festival, c'est là que ça devient intéressant, lorsqu'on est arrivé au festival, lorsque les gens ont fait des textes de slam qui dénoncent ce comportement de l'armée, on a entendu les jeunes répéter en chœur « je porte plainte, je porte plainte, je porte plainte », et que là, on avait un moment où les affects l'affectif est en train de se répandre dans la salle. Et c'est ce que l'art permet. L'art permet de mobiliser et de véhiculer les affects, de faire en sorte que les gens puissent s'indigner d'une situation. Et si un peuple n'est plus capable de se révolter, de s'indigner lorsque la vie est arrachée, je ne vois pas pour quelle autre raison les gens se mobiliseraient et s'indigneraient davantage. Donc, pour cette première édition qu'on a organisée, avant, on avait juste une soirée slam, ça durait 2 heures, 3 heures. Mais pour la première fois, on a fait un festival, ça durait 3 nuits. Chaque soir, on avait 150 personnes dans le public. On a touché 450 personnes. Et en journée, ce qui est bien, ce qui est original, on avait un village associatif et on avait les jeunes des établissements scolaires environnants qui venaient rencontrer les associations, discuter, demander ce que vous faites et tout ça. Et on peut aujourd'hui arrêter tous ceux qui ont organisé ce festival. On peut aujourd'hui empêcher une autre édition de ce festival. Mais ce que les gouvernants ne savent pas, c'est que ça s'est déjà incrusté dans l'œil du gamin. Donc, après 25-30 ans de dictature, les jeunes qui sont venus, qui ont échangé avec les associations, là, ils organiseront la même chose parce qu'ils auront besoin d'un espace pour pouvoir s'exprimer, pour pouvoir dire ce qu'ils vivent et ce qu'ils pensent. Voilà ce que nous, on essaie de faire. On essaie de faire en sorte que les affects circulent au sein de la population, qu'on ne s'indigne pas parce qu'on a cassé une maison, mais qu'on s'indigne parce qu'on a ôté la vie d'un jeune qui aurait pu être ton fils, qui aurait pu être ton frère, qui aurait pu être ton cousin. Que l'on s'indigne parce que ce n'est pas normal que l'armée puisse avoir comme ça le droit d'exécuter des gens sur la base d'une information douteuse. Mais comme je l'ai dit en introduction, je ne suis pas seul. Nous sommes une équipe, mais même ici aussi, il y a Verma et Sheila qui travaillent dans des contextes qui sont différents du mien. Je voudrais aussi entendre ce qu'ils font et ce qu'ils partagent, ce qu'ils font au niveau local et comment est-ce que ça permet de mobiliser les affects, de faire circuler les affects et de garder la communauté mobilisée. Sheila, Verma.
Merci.
Verma, ok.
Merci. Thank you so much, Gershom, for sharing it. It sounds inspiring. The Slam Festival. It gives me already inspiration to do something in our context. So thank you. In terms of our context, like Gershom shared, it's not very different. I mean, Safia very well shared the current context of what's happening in Afghanistan. And even though from the outside, it might feel like it's impossible for us to do something, to find the places where we could actually resist, there is hope. I am a person who always finds hope in the dark times. I'm just compelled to do that. And so the work that we have been doing in the last, since the Taliban came back, we have found certain spaces where we can still come together, you know, and that's what Safia was calling about. How do you innovation has to come? It's not a choice. Especially in terms of crisis, I think innovation becomes a need because you need to think of alternative options of collectivizing, of resisting, of continuing that conversation. And so in Afghanistan, that's precisely what happened when young women and girls were banned from coming to public spaces. We started using digital tools. We turned to the digital space. What we've been doing for the past 4 years is you would be surprised to know we do an annual mentorship program for Afghan women artists, and we have 11 artists who were selected almost every year. This year also we have 11 artists, and they're all from inside Afghanistan. They are connecting on the internet for a whole month of mentorship program where we bring artists and mentors from around the world to show them the idea of how they can professionalize their art by staying at home. You have to sometimes understand that you're working in difficult contexts, so you have to find how it's possible to do within what you get, right? So if young women are not allowed to leave, can they use something that is available to them inside their homes? Yes, internet is also very difficult. in parts of Afghanistan. Kabul is still better, was always better in terms of internet connection, but we've also partnered with certain internet service providers to have Wi-Fi connections within these communities where they can actually have community Wi-Fi networks, which will allow all of these girls in that community to. So we're thinking of solutions on how do you get them to join the space, which they would be excluded from just because of infrastructure and other social problems. And so that's where our innovation is going for now. And so we're trying to do this. Last year, we did a very interesting program called the Digital Storytelling Workshop Program. And it was done in physical, actually, where we selected a secure place in Kabul, invited 10 young women to learn about digital tools, because this is what I'm precisely talking. They need to know skills that they can use by being at home and still earn a source of income, because that's it's been taken away from them. So just finding ways to do that through, mostly we do that through zine making. So a lot of our work is around zines. We are creating, I don't know how many of you know what zines are. They are a small form of magazines. I really wanted to share my screen, but I don't think I can do it. What I'll do is I'll share this link to Safia or Gershom, and if they can share this to everyone, we have something called the Zines Library on our website that all of you can visit. And this Zines Library has all of the documented stories of these young Afghan women that is depicted by them. Nobody else is telling these stories. It's them writing them, making them, and we're putting them in a sourced library online so everyone can have access to it. And it's a tool that's freely available. These are small zines that are the size of my notebook, so small. And you can actually print them in such a less amount. It's so cheap to print it. It's an A4 size paper. You can print it and distribute it across. And so you can basically, you're the publisher, you're the producer, you're the writer, you're everything for your own production. And you're able to do this. So what we did in Kabul last year, we just printed these zines. I think, Safia, you could go to the zines library. If you go on the top, oh yeah, here. So you go explore zines library. And so what we did in Kabul, we printed a lot of these books, mini books and zines, and we just put them across cafes and across libraries in Afghanistan because women were not allowed, right? So we're like, okay, read our stories. They're in public spaces. You can at least read our stories through zines. So these kind of things. And so this particular zine is my favorite. It's a story of a young girl who had to take a journey from Kabul to Ireland after the Taliban came back, and how she left her home, how she misses the smell of the grass back home. So it's a very, very, it's something that connects you directly to them. And I think that's the whole point, that we are able to give the agency to these women to tell their stories through art. And we've been doing something like this with theater in India and Myanmar. So theater also different. I won't take much of time, but what we use is called forum theater, where we have the spectators become the actors. So it's a very different kind of experience, and you can see immediate impact in it. So just a little bit of how we're trying to innovate and still work within contexts like Afghanistan. Thank you.
So my work mostly is within Nepal, but we also collaborate with other artivists around South Asia. Like Safia was saying, we recently had a Zine movement. Before talking about that, I would like to go back maybe 4 years, 5 years to talk more about the work that we have been doing and the situation of Nepal. So we started Freedom Studio in 2020, and we work with social movements. In Nepal and around the world, people have been coming together one way or the other to speak out against injustice or to discuss whatever is happening in the community, but they lacked strategy or creativity to make it sustainable or to make it reach the concerned authorities or in the policy level. So it was our research that we realized there are different communities using different forms of arts coming together, but still they were not able to sustainably lead the movement. That's where we came in, Freedom Studio came in, and we, through various programs like fellowships or workshops, we brought together the leaders of the movement, providing trainings on how they can lead and how they can inform policy while bringing people together. Like Shatakshi was saying, most of the stories or most of the art forms are, they don't directly come from the communities that are suffering or that are having the issues, and that's what makes the artwork, I believe, like that's what makes the artwork less authentic, or even like in the digital space, that's what makes the news or the media less authentic. So when the stories, when the artworks come directly through the people that are suffering or that are living those stories, it becomes more real, it becomes more authentic, and that's where we come in as well. So we provide digital media training, providing skills on how they can create contents, how they can come together and share their stories, and not just through traditional art forms, but also through digital art forms. So we have been doing this for past 4 years, through fellowships, through workshops, and also through peace caravans, where we travel all around Nepal and meet with the indigenous or diverse communities and learn about their artworks and integrate that into their work as well. So coming to Gen Z movement in September, it was not an instant reaction to whatever was happening in the country, because the civic space in Nepal was sinking, the freedom of expression, assembly, association was shrinking, because the government had introduced social media bill, and because of that they banned 26 social medias all across the countries. They say that it's for the regulations, it's for the international companies to pay taxes within Nepal, but it wasn't the case, because before that, young people were already coming in the digital space, in a Nepo Kid campaign, where they used songs, where they used visuals to evoke the emotions of the people, comparing the lives of the kids of the people running the government and the normal general people, and the struggle that they have been facing. So they used digital media to evoke the emotions, to bring young people together, in and to show them the injustice that have been created by the system across the communities. That was something that triggered people. And then the ban of the social media soon after the Nepo Baby campaign triggered people to come to the street. It wasn't planned to be violent. Everyone was in the protests, in the streets, singing songs, showing their arts, showing their placards, but the government retaliated it with violence, and around 70, more than 70 people were killed and hundreds were injured in a single day. So something that started as a peaceful way to protest governments bills on social media, or government's restrictions of people assembly, coming together, or people fighting against injustice, turned violent. And soon after that, in the second day, it became more violent, with parliaments or government buildings and the houses of the political leaders being burned down. but but with the protest, something hopeful came because Nepal got first female prime minister in the history. The interim prime minister was she ran the government for 6 months. She did peaceful election. It's believed to be one of the most peaceful election in the history, even though it came after the most violent protests and killing in the history. Now we have a new government completely democratically elected by the people, and the prime minister is a rapper. He's an artivist. He is someone who have been using folk songs and rap, mixing folk songs and rap to speak out against the systemic structures, the injustice. For example, one of his songs called Balidan, which talks about the restrictions of the freedom of expression of the people, where he says, okay, let me speak. Where he calls for asks the government to like let him speak, because the previous government was not just suppressing anyone, like they were arresting the artists who were making artwork. I mean, we say like artists are the reflections of the society, right? They just, it's not like they are creating something out of anything. They are just how do you say they are showing the realities of the societies in art forms. But those artists were arrested just because they were showing the reality. They weren't using any bad words. They weren't threatening the government or anything. But they were being arrested just for creating artwork. So the current prime minister, who was running for the seat of mayor of Kathmandu at that time, he released this song where he asked the government to let him speak. And it became the anthem for the people during the protest, for people during the election, where people were campaigning for democratic election, they were campaigning to elect the right person instead of electing the people, the previous government, or just for the sake of the political parties. So young people were using art. We are using art. Even the new government was using and is using art to resist, to bring people together. I believe that artwork is not just about resistance. It's also about building community. It's also about evoking emotions so that people can understand, or people can feel the injustice or the emotions that other people are feeling. So Nepal have been fortunate to bring change because of the art, because of artivism. There's still fear, there's still uncertainty, but there's hope that things will work out best, and that creativity and non-violence will definitely bring change in the lives of the people. And I'll definitely share the link to a song and also his YouTube channel, because he has lots of other songs as well. So yeah.
Merci, merci Sheila, merci, et surtout bravo, ça vient du cœur. Et oui, le travail qu'on fait permet de véhiculer des affects, permet de faire véhiculer des émotions. L'art permet de véhiculer des émotions, permet de véhiculer des affects, mais aussi, je voudrais partager un fait que dans ma culture, il n'existe pas un mot pour dire art. Ça n'existe pas. On va trouver un mot pour dire chanson, on va trouver un mot pour dire chanson, pour dire peinture, mais il n'existe pas un mot qui signifie art. Justement parce que dans ma culture Luango, on considère que on ne chante pas pour rien, on ne danse pas pour rien. L'art n'est pas, il n'y a aucune pratique artistique qui soit vide de sens et vide d'objectifs. L'objectif, c'est pas juste l'extase et tout ça, c'est pas. L'objectif, c'est aussi arriver à mobiliser et à organiser sa communauté, arriver à montrer à la communauté qu'il y a des problèmes, bien sûr, et il faut qu'on s'attaque à ces problèmes, il faut qu'on trouve des solutions à ces problèmes. J'ai vu qu'il y avait des mains levées pendant qu'on était en train de présenter cette partie de notre travail. Est-ce qu'on peut prendre déjà ces questions? Peut-être que les gens vont oublier. On prend ces questions et puis on avance. Il nous reste notre vision du changement et puis la clôture. Mais on peut prendre déjà des questions par rapport à ces premières présentations avant qu'on avance. Quelqu'un qui est en train de poser une question? OK. Sinon, on pourra revenir sur les questions à la fin de la session. Donc, je vous prierai de noter vos questions. Et je vois, Sheila a déjà parlé un peu de l'impact que cela a eu sur sa communauté, mais aussi des incertitudes qui demeurent, en fait. C'est pas parce qu'on a obtenu une victoire aujourd'hui qu'elle est éternelle. Souvent, les gens savent comment est-ce qu'ils ont accédé au pouvoir et ils font tout pour détruire, pour verrouiller ces organisations de jeunes et empêcher que ce soit une manière de les chasser du pouvoir. Moi, la question que je veux poser aux autres, aux copanélistes, c'est, OK, nous faisons tout ça, mais comment est-ce qu'on s'imagine nos sociétés dans 5 ans, dans 10 ans? Moi, déjà, je vois que dans 5 ans, je peux être Premier ministre, arriver au Népal. OK, c'est bien. Mais comment est-ce qu'on imagine nos sociétés dans 5 ans, dans 10 ans? Quelle est la vision? Pourquoi on fait tout ça, en fait? Quelle est la vision derrière?
Sheila, do you want to go? Or I
OK.
can I can share a bit on the vision that Gershom you asked, and I think that we live in a very volatile time, in a time where there are so many uncertainties. I am, again, as I said, a very hopeful person, and so I believe a lot in the power of people. And I believe that's what we saw in Nepal, what Sheila shared. And I think that is going to always be my hope of any kind of change, right? And so what we are doing, me, what you're doing, what Sheila is doing, and Safia and all of us are trying to do those little changes that can eventually amount to a bigger change, you know? So all of the small water that we put in the pond can eventually become a sea. So the idea is that. And so I think in the vision that I see is more agency amongst young people, especially young women. That's something I want. Their ability to be able to decide what they want and what they can have would be something I would like to see in 10 years. It can be done through creativity, it can be done through education. The idea is that these young people who are the worst affected every time there is a conflict, especially young women and other genders, should be allowed to have some power in the next 10 years to be able to take back their voices, their narratives. And this is something, and to be on the right places, to be on those tables where these decisions for them are being made, right? So this is what I really like about the example of Nepal. They took what they wanted for themselves, they asked for it. And so my vision would be that the youth are at the table in the 10 years where the decisions are being made, and not just tokenistically. They are at the center of what's being done and what's being decided when it comes to policies. And I hope that creativity and art could be the reason for all of these changes. And so that's one of my visions. I'll let Sheila add.
Thank you, Satakshi. adding to whatever you were saying, for me, I think, in next 5 years or 10 years, building a space or, finding a space where not just like social movements from Nepal or social movements from one province or district from Nepal, but from all over the world can come together and learn cross-culturally or learn and how each and every one of them are resisting the suppressions or how they are working within their field. For example, I imagine a place where grassroots social movement or a group of the victims of loan sharks can learn from Satakshi on how they can use Zine as a way to protest or as a way to share their stories in Nepal and around the world. So I think in the era of globalization, where all of us, so many of us are coming together from different part of the world, speaking different languages, but still being able to understand each other because of technology, because of different art forms. I think it's really necessary to provide that spaces, not just for a handful of people, but also for the grassroots or for the people that are struggling, so that they can learn from each other, they can grow across border, and share their stories across border. So that's what I and Freedom Studio envision for next 5 or 10 years.
Bon, ce qui me concerne, c'est, je l'ai dit, il y a Grace qui a une main levée. Grace, tu peux prendre la parole.
Yes, I think we have to allow Grace to be able to. Oh, okay. So she needs the video because I think she's going to use sign.
Because she uses sign language.
Safia, tu peux ouvrir sa vidéo pour qu'elle
Yes.
puisse. D'accord.
One moment, it's just being enabled. Thank you. Thank you for your patience, Grace. Grace, we see you. Please go ahead.
I can't see her.
One moment. There we go.
I still can't see her.
En tout cas, les deux grâces, vos vidéos sont ouvertes et on vous regarde.
I can't see Grace. I'm only seeing the panelists.
I think I can see she's pinned now. So Grace, you should be able to see Grace. She's pinned to the first page if you go.
Let me try.
I can see Grace. She's pinned.
Yes. As soon as she's visible to you, Ma'am Grace, we can speak.
I still can't see her. I don't know
Hang on,
why.
that's okay. 1 second. Let me just try sharing my screen. And then there we go. It might look a bit up for everyone, but there we go. Let me just see this way. Is this better? Do you see her now? She's been fast.
Has she put on her video? Yes, now I can see her.
Perfect. Please go ahead, Grace. Can you invite her to go ahead, please? Yes.
Yes, now I can see her. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for opportunity. Sam, thank you for consideration in inclusion for persons with disability like herself, who is deaf. Is it just me or she has network problem? She has a question. What are the people doing? For example, the Civicus, it's a big organization focused on digital things. Imagine to reach people who are in indigenous spaces, how best digital things or technology can reach even the people in the deaf community who are in rural places. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Gershom, with your permission, I'll take the question first. And please, colleagues, if you have any other ideas and things, we're all ears to share. But thank you, Grace, for joining. Thank you for making this request of Civicus. You know, it was a first for us, and thank you for being patient as we've navigated the technical difficulties. On the issue of inclusion around disabilities, Civicus at the moment, I'll share two examples. One is from a communications perspective, and one is from the digital aspect that you shared. So right now, Civicus is extremely committed to digital accessible communications. So a lot of our website you will find has text that can be read by people who suffer from dyslexia, for example. We have increased print. We have for audio for colleagues who may not be able to read in a specific language and things like that. So we're working on that. On the issue of digital rights, you are absolutely correct. From an indigenous perspective, from a digital rights perspective, it remains a space of exclusion more than inclusion. But what we're exploring right now is research around how to bridge that gap so that rural communities can come in and be more part of the fold. We work to make some of our products and services low bandwidth so that it's easier accessible in remote locations. And we work with partners, one of whom is another Nelson Mandela Graça Machel Innovation Awardee named Ivan, is on the call as well, in terms of building tools that can be used for accessibility in remote spaces. So I'm very, very interested to carry this conversation forward. We can share more details. Please do visit our website as well. But we want everyone to be part of this community. And I think that for us is the biggest value add, is that as the more people we have in this community, the more we can be informed on how best to move forward. So thank you so much. And I invite our other panelists as well to please share if there's any work that you are doing around disability and inclusion, so that all voices can be put forward and represented in these spaces. Thank you.
Comme je l'ai dit au début, au CNE, on accompagne tout le monde, toutes les personnes victimes de toutes les violations des droits humains. Donc, on accompagne les populations autochtones, les communautés locales, les personnes vivant avec handicap. On accompagne tout le monde dans la recherche de justice. Et on travaille aussi à faire de la République du Congo un pays qui respecte ses engagements, parce que le pays prend beaucoup d'engagements à l'international, mais ensuite, pour mettre en œuvre ces politiques inclusives, il y a un écart entre ce que les gouvernants disent et ce qu'ils font en réalité sur le terrain. Maintenant, pour ce qui nous concerne nous-mêmes, on travaille aussi à l'amélioration à faire du festival un festival inclusif pour que toutes les personnes puissent s'y rendre, puissent écouter. Il y a déjà la question moi je l'ai vu, là actuellement je suis en France, donc quand je travaille, quand j'ai un spectacle, il y a de l'interprétation en langue de signes pour permettre au public malentendant de pouvoir aussi vivre ce moment. Donc c'est important, ce sont des pratiques qu'on va essayer de mettre en œuvre petit à petit au sein de notre organisation et pendant notre festival pour pouvoir faire de ce moment un moment où tout le monde peut participer, tout le monde peut se mobiliser. On a besoin, je l'ai dit au début, la force c'est le nombre c'est tout le monde. Il ne faut laisser personne de côté dans ce qui concerne la mobilisation et la mobilisation pour les droits et pour le changement. Et j'avais pris la parole tout à l'heure pour parler de l'impact, de la vision de changement dans 4-5 ans. Je vois, il y a Sheila qui nous a parlé du Népal, qui est la vision pour le changement, en fait, on arrive à embraser un mouvement qui soit là pour réclamer justice et changement. Mais les incertitudes demeurent, les questions restent les mêmes. C'est à partir en mobilisant, il y a les questions morales. Lorsqu'on arrête les gens, quelle est notre part de responsabilité face au régime sanguinaire dans lesquels on évolue et qui n'hésiteront pas à utiliser les armes, à résister, mais à réprimer les manifestants de la manière la plus violente qui soit. C'est une question que je porte et que je partage aussi à tout le monde. On n'est pas obligé d'y répondre là, aujourd'hui et maintenant. Mais oui, la vision, c'est que dans 4-5 ans, on ait une société empathique où la justice faite à une personne concerne tout le monde, où les violations des droits d'une personne, ou l'arrestation arbitraire, la détention arbitraire, ou l'exécution sommaire d'une personne devient un problème pour tout le monde. J'ai vu dans le chat qu'on avait partagé une chanson de Bobby Wine. Aujourd'hui, l'arrestation de Bobby Wine ou de quelqu'un de son équipe devient un problème national, justement parce qu'ils ont su mobiliser les affects, ils ont su faire embraser leur communauté et leur population pour aller dans ce sens-là. Alors, c'était aussi une question pour laquelle on a fait le tour sur comment est-ce qu'on voit nos communautés d'ici 5 ans. C'est très long et c'est très court, 5 ans. Et je vais demander aussi à tout le monde s'il y a des questions ou des réactions de les partager avec nous. Et surtout, s'il n'y a pas de questions, mais quand même, s'il devait résumer cette conversation en un mot ou deux mots, qu'ils nous disent ces mots-là qu'ils ont retenus et qu'ils vont garder pour parler de cette conversation aux autres. Je crois que les mots, on peut les envoyer dans le chat. Ça va être plus rapide, je crois. Et pendant que Safi va collectionner les mots qu'on envoie dans le chat, parce on va s'arrêter dans 5 minutes, et je suis vraiment heureux d'avoir eu cette conversation avec vous, avec tout le monde. Euh, je tenais à résumer ici tout ce qu'on a pu se dire. J'ai dit tout à l'heure, mais c'était déjà une citation de Martin Luther King, l'injustice faite à une personne doit concerner tout le monde. Et c'est parce que l'art permet de véhiculer le ressenti, les affects. L'art et la créativité permettent aux gens de se mettre à la place des victimes directes, qu'on arrive à mobiliser les affects. Mais au-delà des affects, nous devons aussi, je continue avec Martin Luther King, we need to organize. Nous devons aussi nous organiser et nous mobiliser pour que, en faisant circuler les affects soient transformés en un message de solidarité, un appel au changement, un appel à l'action. Ce n'est que comme ça qu'on arrivera à voir les résultats du Népal. Bah, puisque j'avais dit en introduction que j'étais slammer, on ne va pas se séparer comme ça. Je ne crois pas que l'interprète va pouvoir suivre, hein. Ça va être chaud à traduire. Monsieur le commissaire, je me présente, guerre de mots, activiste, poète. Pour tes oreilles, je serai l'émissaire des malheurs sans bouche et des douleurs mues. Monsieur le commissaire, dans sa lutte contre la délinquance, la police dérive totalement. Combattant le crime par le crime, elle torture et tue. Salem a été arrêté, son motif, son mandat dans une buvette du quartier. À ses parents, les flics ont dit, votre fils est puni. Menotté, les yeux bandés, Salem est conduit dans un vieux cimetière. Devant un public impuissant, Salem crie, pardon, ne me tue pas, Salem supplie. Mais le flic là-bas froidement, puisqu'ils ont déjà tué mon fils, pourquoi m'interdire de faire sa veillée? Puisqu'ils ont déjà tué mon fils, qu'il me donne son corps que je l'enterre dignement, sa mère m'a confié. Monsieur le commissaire, entends-tu avec moi la douleur de sa mère? Je porte plainte pour les jeunes abattus dans les rues, je porte plainte pour les frères disparus dans les geôles. C'est par ce slam engageant et ce slam que je déclame tout le temps maintenant qu'on va mettre un terme à notre conversation. Merci à Safia qui a tout organisé. Merci à Sheila et à Verma qui ont participé avec moi. La créativité est puissance. La créativité est puissance pour construire le changement. Continuons à lutter et à nous battre pour le changement. Merci beaucoup. Merci à vous tous. J'ai vu qu'il y avait Ivan qui était là avec nous. Merci Ivan, merci d'être passé.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Yes. Goodbye, Safia.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you all of our interpreters team. Mika, we can close. Thank you.
Thank you so much.